Today on the Pastimes, Breaking Up of the Missouri by Elizabeth Bacon Custer. The following is an excerpt from Elizabeth Bacon Custer's Boots and Saddles, or Life in Dakota with General Custer, Chapter 25, Breaking Up of the Missouri. The day of the final breaking up of the ice in the Missouri was one of great excitement to us. The roar and crash of the ice fields could be heard a great distance. The sound of the tremendous report was the signal for the whole garrison to go out on a hill near the infantry post and watch the grand sight. Just above us was a bend in the Missouri River, and around this curve great floes of ice rushed, heaping up in huge masses as they swept down the furious current. All the lowlands that lay between Bismarck and the Missouri were inundated, and the far shore covered with blocks of ice that the force of the water had thrown there. Just across the river from us was a wretched little collection of huts, occupied by outlaws into which the soldiers were decoyed to drink and gamble. The law forbidding liquor to be sold on the reservation was so strict that whiskey vendors did not dare set foot on the government land. The reservation was too large to permit them to place themselves on its other boundaries. They would have been at such a distance from the post that it would not have been worth while. Just on the water's edge opposite, these human fiends had perched to watch and entice the enlisted men. Over their rude cabins, they had painted elaborate and romantically expressed signs. In the midst of bleak surroundings rose an untidy canvas-covered cabin called My Lady's Bower, or over the door of a rough log hut was a sign of the Dewdrop Inn. These shanties were placed on a little rise of ground with a precautionary thought of the usual spring floods. The day of the first ice breaking we saw the water rise to such a height that cabin after cabin was abandoned. The occupants dragged their property as best they could to the little rise where one or two, more cautious than the rest, had built. On this narrow neck of land huddled together the whole of the group in desperate peril. No one on our side of the river could help them, for the water was the maddest of whirlpools, while on the other side of the overflow had made a great lake cutting them off from Bismarck. As we watched them scrambling on the little knoll, like drowning men clinging to the upturned keel of a boat, we suffered real distress at our powerlessness to help them. The company commanders, remembering how they had been the cause of the demoralization of some of their best soldiers, openly avowed at first their relief that the whole wretched lot were about to drown. But as the peril increased, not one of the officers' hearts remained unsoftened. They forgot what an utterly abandoned, lawless company it was, and wished that some means might be found by which they could be saved. We women had discovered through the field glasses a few of our own sex among them, and were alarmed at their danger. For no matter what they were, the helplessness of women at such a time makes one forget everything, save that their lives hang in the balance. At last one of them stepped into the small boat that had been able to retain, and standing bravely at the side of one man at the bow, they were swept down the river out of sight among the gorge of ice blocks, and never heard from again. It was too exhausting watching these imperiled beings, knowing how incapable we were of helping them, and we went back to our quarters to spend hours of suspense. We could not set ourselves about doing anything while the lives of human beings so near us were in jeopardy. As day began to close, word came for our relief that the water was subsiding, not, alas, until some of them had been borne to their last home. Those that were left waded back to their huts and, unheeding the warning of that fearful day, began again their same miserable existence. For the Pastimes, I'm Dakota.